Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So I'm reading for Pisces energy for Saturday. You don't have to be Pisces for this to resonate. You may have Pisces in your chart. You may just have an affiliation. You just may like Pisces energy. I can't think of the word I was trying to think of. If this isn't your reading, check out your other placements, your moon, your Mars, your Venus, your rising sign, whatever you want, whatever you feel an affinity with. That's what I was going for. Affinity. Something about the word affinity could mean something for somebody. So what do I have for you? I like your energy today. It feels very soothing. As soon as I started to tune into your energy, I was getting this underwater feeling of like swimming underwater, or like just being in water. I can't describe it, like this weightless, exploring, soothing feel, a little bit like when you're really thirsty, like maybe you've been running, or they're showing me in a lecture or something, where like you've not had a drink for a while, or you're quite warm and then your mouth's dry, and then you go and you have a really big glass of cold icy water, and it's really soothing, and it's like the best thing you've ever tasted. Even though it's just water, it's like just what you needed. Or it's like when you have, like when you say you've been in the city all day or something like this, or you've been in a smoggy environment and you get home and you're like, oh, I feel like it's stuck to my hair. I feel dirty. And then it's like you have like a nice cold shower and you just rinse it all off and you cleanse. So it's got coming through this energy of like water being soothing and cleansing, but also this feeling of it being representative of your own inner dream space, your own inner your own imagination, your dream space, your subconscious. It's like going within, a little bit like if you know the Hermit card from the tarot, like going within, soul searching, but it's not like soul searching. It's like searching your emotions. So it's got this like cleansing, refreshing, deep dive energy to it. Like exploring your emotions around something that happened in the past. So in my notes, this is before I even pulled cards, by the way. So I've wrote down on my notes, you can see here, deep in your ocean. I heard abandonment wounds. So some of you may have some abandonment wounds, and it's like something's brought up abandonment wounds or something like this within you. It's like you've seen something, or something's triggered a memory. You've had an emotional, like not triggered, but so much like perhaps you've been watching a TV show or a movie, and there's been a topic in that reminds you of something that happened to you in the past. So naturally those things come back up to the surface for you to kind of explore again. So it's just this kind of very gentle, why did I have that reaction? Oh, I have a little bit more thinking to do about this. It feels very gentle, very soothing. Somebody may have said, because I've got this feeling of you like completely absorbed in your own mind, in your own energy. When people go a little bit inwards and it's like, hi, are you listening? That kind of thing. But somebody could say to you, what's up with you? A little bit harshly, what's up with you? What's up with you? Like, what's wrong with you? So again, that could be part of the trigger for you. Like, it's like, what's up with you? Why are you so distant today? That kind of feeling. I want to say that you're not sad exactly. It doesn't feel like sadness. It could be for some of you, but the energy, the way it's coming through to me is more reflective than sad. It's more absorbing and filtering than sad isn't the right word for that. It's more than that, right? It's deeper than that. I've wrote deep in your emotions. And then I heard wearing the ocean as a blanket, a little bit like that phrase, wearing the world as a loose garment, passing through it, but not letting it affect you, not letting like world news affect you, which is very difficult right now, I know. And like, just like the drama around you, or, what's going on with other people, like not letting that, gunk filter into your aura. It could be something like, if you're very empathic, perhaps, you take on a lot of other people's emotions or situations into your own energy, where it's like, is this my emotion? Is this really Is this really something that I'm feeling, or am I picking up on the feelings of somebody around me? That kind of thing. But for you, wearing the ocean as a blanket, it feels more like, with the ocean being this cool, refreshing, inward journey, like your own subconscious, your own, it's like your own safe space. So this definitely happens, like, I feel like this happens a lot with children, especially, where, you know, perhaps a child's having a bad day, and they go a little bit quiet and they go a little bit inwards. It's like, I just need time to process. I need my own space. It's kind of got that energy to it. So I don't know if this is some kind of like emotional safety blanket for you, maybe some sort of behavior that you do, that you wear as almost like a protective, like an emotional shield or something. It's like the density of the water is acting as a space between you, or your heart perhaps, and then like the density of this emotional space is keeping people at a distance. Something like this. There's it's like the water around you is acting like a blanket or a shield or a barrier. It's protective. I was getting that again with that, like refreshing, like cool water. I remember very, very specifically, and I cannot remember what had upset me, but I remember getting home from school one day as a teenager. And you know, when you've had a big cry, it could have just been hormonal, right? Just teenage hormones. I don't even remember. But I remember my face being really red and puffy, and my eyes being sore and stinging, and looking in the mirror and like seeing that blotchiness. And I ran myself at like a cold basin of water, like, you know, a sink full of icy cold water, and I just put my face in it. And I was like holding my breath with my face in the water, and it wasn't like I was trying to drown myself or anything. It was just like the refreshing, like how that cold water kind of soothed my blotchy, blobby, bloated face, my stinging red eyes. Just how refreshing that was. I think that's my daughter home from school. Hopefully she's had a good day. I'll go and grab her and be back with you in a second. Okay, so apparently she's had a good day. You may hear her because she's sat now on the front step, so sort of below where I'm recording. She made a slide out of mud, apparently. So she's had a good day, but she is covered in mud. So she's sat there with you know, a shoe brush, trying to brush the dirt off her school shoes. So yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that she's had a messy fun day. It's better than having to stick your face in a basin of cold water because you've been crying, right? So what do I have? What do I have for you? If we go to the cards, it's so funny, you know, what I was talking about, like what I was getting intuitively, and then I pulled cards, and it's like it's here. So you start off with this kind of the visual of this. So it's like you start off, water your garden, like she's in the water, like you come on, focus, like you can't make it up. Nourishment, body care, tenderness, rest. So I feel like, again, you're kind of in this rest mode of just taking some time to go within, to figure out what you feel about a situation, to go over something in the past, to kind of process whatever that was, but being very, very kind to yourself. And again, it's like talking about your garden, water your garden. So it's like again, like whatever this space is for you, it's very, very peaceful for you. It's very cleansing. It feels really, really good, kind of whatever that is for you. But then it's almost like you take a deeper dive. So you start off at this kind of like surface level, and then you go, if I can pick these up, it's like you go deeper. You see, you take a plunge into your own emotions, but it feels cool, it feels refreshing, it feels good. Now, of course, you know, you may hit a few bumps in the road. I just saw this as well, earthed. Learning how to be human in the world but not of it, and you have this earth school as well, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. So I am using the Starseed Oracle. Some of you may feel like you're a starseed. You don't have to. We can talk about it literally for people who feel like they are literally a starseed, or metaphorically in terms of something that you're feeling emotionally at this time. And of course, if the reading's not for you, it's not for you. But it is like coming even into like the Earth's atmosphere being like a deeper, denser, more grounded human experience than perhaps the soul experience or the dream experience, or whatever that lighter, higher vibration is for you. So yeah, definitely understanding. I think there's something about the Seven Star Sisters, Birthing Creations, Tapestry of Life Expression. I don't think I've ever seen that card before. So it's like, it does feel like taking a deeper dive, emotionally going deeper, like taking a really, really deep dive, right? That's how that looks to me. And perhaps learning some lessons about the past, perhaps incorporating past experiences, understanding that everything we experience on an earth, if we do identify as a starseed, is just a lesson. It is just part of soul growth. So, yeah, we'll keep going on that. Keep that, because that's kind of like the key theme for what's happening in your reading. Loosen your grip. So this says, sorry, I'm just trying to focus again. Coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. So it could be saying something about perhaps going too deep, perhaps getting too absorbed in your own experience, absorbed in your own emotions, hitting an emotional rock bottom even, or feeling like you can't find the bottom. It's funny, I've been getting this stuff about, I've been dreaming very, very intense, interesting, quite unusual dreams this week, and I'm having like several dreams that I'm remembering each night. I see visions as well when I'm awake. So there's this character that's appeared who's he looks like an astronaut to me, but I can't see his face. His face is like behind glass, and I keep on seeing this. So I got it as a vision. It's like this faceless, I guess I'll call him the faceless astronaut, that I was kind of meeting in my dream space. And then I keep seeing this kind of symbolism everywhere. So I remember asking for a song, and that song by, I want to say Radiohead. Is it No Surprises, where the music video is like he's wearing this astronaut mask and it's filling up with water. Also, I watched a movie. I'm not going to say which movie. I don't want to do too many spoilers, and it's not a spoiler, right? It's just a single frame of this movie. There's no spoilers in it, but it was a motorcycle helmet with like a mirrored visor, and again, you couldn't see the face behind the visor. And then even like the film Abyss, I've been getting the film Abyss, where they it's an old film, right? No spoilers here. But he wears like almost like an astronaut suit, but it's like a deep dive suit, and he's going down into the water, and again that mask fills up with water. So I don't know what that is, but I'm repeatedly seeing this symbolism throughout the week. And I'm just saying that now because this reminds me of the film Abyss. If you haven't seen that film, highly recommend it. It's one of the best films, I think, very original. And then this feeling of like falling and falling and falling and falling down into this chasm, like this emotional chasm. So it does feel a little bit like surrender to your feelings, surrender to the process, surrender, let go, let go, allow yourself to take this deep dive. Something like that could be coming through. But again, it could be that you have some kind of addiction, or coping mechanism, some kind of behavior that you're kind of dealing with at the moment. And this can, coping mechanisms can come in so many different forms. Going inwards itself, withdrawing, escaping to your dream palace, if you like, your inner dream palace. That's a coping mechanism. This is something that I do as well. If I'm very, very stressed, if I've been overly social, if sometimes I just need to have my own space and to go within and kind of spend some time daydreaming or fantasizing or living in a bit of a fairy tale world inside my head, or meditating and going on these like meditation adventures. It helps me process, it helps me cope. So coping mechanisms are not necessarily bad. They are just one tool in our toolbox, right? How we cope with life, and then we can cope with life in so many different ways. And actually developing coping mechanisms is very, very healthy and very beneficial. But I want to say it depends on the coping mechanism, and it depends on how dependent we are on that coping mechanism. We kind of need a lot of different tools in our toolbox so that we're not too dependent on one specific thing. So for example, a coping mechanism may be, oh, I'm having a panic attack. I know that if I breathe and count to 10 and then hold my breath and release it, that's going to soothe me. It can be a lot of different things. So it's not necessarily bad, but it could be asking you to say, have you developed any coping mechanisms or addictions or anything that are these still working for you, or are they something that you need to address? Why do you have that addiction or coping mechanism? Is it really beneficial for you to have it? Is there something better you could be doing? So again, it feels like this is part of that deep dive, that processing something from the past. I'm saying it's something from the past because you do have some stuff about ancestors and ancestral healing coming up, which I'll kind of get to over here. But also, even before I pulled these cards, I was getting it with these two characters who are looking back, right? They're both looking back. In fact, there's definitely something about the back. So here you have this, she has her back turned. Again, you could have turned your back on something or someone or a situation, turned your back on your own feelings, your own behaviors. There's something that it's like you've refused to look at it, or you've turned your back on it. So you have it here with this card here. She's kind of got a back showing. You have it here with this card. She's kind of got back showing again. This card here, back showing. So definitely has this turning back or turning your back. I'm getting kind of turning back because there's something, sorry, I've got my camera locked again. There's something turning back because there's some kind of time factor here. It could just be you, but the interesting thing is you've got the same card twice with similar imagery from two different decks, and the card came out. You've got some patterning. So there could be patterns of behavior, patterns of life experience. It's like something playing out again and again and again, and with different people in different places, but it's like the same pattern. And it could be saying, look, this pattern's going to keep playing out for you until you learn from the experience, until you change your patterns of behavior. Because if your behavior, this is definitely coming up over here, by the way, I'll sort of say it again in a minute, but it's like, if you respond to something, if something happens and it happens again and again and again, and you keep responding to it in the exact same way, then it's going to keep happening again and again and again, because you're not learning, right? So it's like, and this isn't victim blaming. It's not victim blaming. It's taking ownership. It's saying, I can't control other people, and I have to let go of the feeling like I can control other people, or the belief that I should control other people. I need to understand that I am an independent person. I'm an independent player on the stage. And the only true control I have is myself and how I react to things. And if I choose to react to something differently, then I actually change the pattern of behavior. I break the cycle, and I change my future. Because you don't change the future if you keep repeating a cycle of behavior. Now, I think you're actually learning this. I think you've been in the process of understanding this with this Seven of Earth. Now, it could just be you, but I'm getting this kind of two people energy. So really interesting, these two cards. This Seven of Earth, Seven of Pentacles, it talks about things taking time. That it talks about divine timing. Good things come to those who wait. If you want something, you have to work hard at it. You have to kind of put in sustained effort over time. But it has this factor of time passing. So it can mean like 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years. It doesn't have to necessarily be that, but just to give you a kind of frame of the meaning of this card. The really interesting thing, and I always notice it. So again, I pulled this card first. To me, it always looks like this guy, he kind of wants to play with this little fairy. It's like, this is some kind of like playmate, soulmate. It's interesting, Aquarius have this playmate energy. Or a hobby. It could be some kind of hobby, something fun and playful, something inspiring and engaging, like something you want to do, something you want to spend your time on. He's looking at this fairy like so longingly. It's like, I just want to pay attention to this. But it always seems to me like somebody's you see this kind of, I think it's like a fleur-de-lis or something here, but it always looks almost like a lion's paw, like coming around his shoulder and saying, come on, come with me, come away from that person. So it's like, if you've ever had a parent who says, oh no, you shouldn't play with that person, or they're trying to like steer you away from playing with like the bad boy or something like that. I don't know, but it's got that energy to it, like or just even someone who's like, come on, now is not the time. You've got something else to do. You've got somewhere else to be. Come with me. You know, it's not the time to be playing with the little fairy. That kind of energy to it. But he's really longing for it. And then so curious to me that this card should come out of a completely different deck. And this is the order the cards came out. I used this deck, I used this deck, I used this deck, and then I went back to this deck. So these two cards came out side by side. And again, she's got this hand on her back. And again, I don't think the cards have ever come out with this exact combination before, but it's almost like you're the one who turned yourself away. You're the one who pulled yourself away from a situation. You're the one who, I want to say it harmed you. It's painful to you. It feels like you're stabbing yourself in your own back, right? It's like perhaps you regret pulling yourself away from a situation, or perhaps you harmed yourself in denying yourself something like this. And then even like they have this business going on with their eyes, like they're wearing a mask, which kind of repeats throughout your reading, and I'm going to come back to that. So either this is the same person, the same character, but I'm kind of getting like two people, especially because it's like this is the fairy, like he's looking at the fairy, and you're getting something through with dancing. Obviously she's a ballerina, right? The Black Swan. If you know the movie Black Swan, you know she's harming herself. Her own shadow is harming her. So it feels like it could be you're trying to come together with someone. You've met someone, you feel like this is your soulmate, you feel like this is your person, or they're your best friend, but it's like recognizing that now is not the right time to come together. You both have healing to do. You both have to turn your back, right? Turn your back, because there's something that you need to do. There's some emotional work you need to do. There's some shadow work you need to do. You have to take a deep dive. This is not the right time to be together. So it could talk about perhaps, you know, because 7 as well, it's like the 7 steps. It's like a 7-step program, especially because you've got this card about addiction here as well. Like, it could be, now I'm not saying it's both of you, it could be one of you, it could be both of you, but the way I'm seeing it is you have perhaps similar life stories, similar life patterns, similar life paths. Again, it's like there's two people actually on this card. So it's like you and this other person, perhaps meeting in the same place, perhaps meeting at some kind of help group, like you're both part of the same 7-step program perhaps. So it's got that feeling of like meeting somebody and feeling like we have a lot in common. They're giving me, we've got way too much in common, if I'm being honest with you. And it's really funny actually, coping mechanisms as well. I'm obsessed with this singer called Taylor Parks. I just think she's brilliant. Every time, it's like one of those people where every time you find out more about them, it's like, wow, this person continues to impress me. And she's got her own albums. One of them is Coping Mechanisms, and one of them is yeah, so I'm hearing stuff. One of them is yeah, so she's got her own albums, but she's a singer-songwriter, and her name is on so many songs, and it's like so many people don't know who she is, and it's like I guarantee there's probably a song that you really like, and she's probably one of the writers on it. So that song by Alicia Keys, we've got way too much in common. I was on a list of tailor-made, like the songs that she has written on, or that she's produced or been involved with in some sort of way, and that song was on there. I was like, no way, that's on my Spotify list. And it's like one of those things I'm always surprised. I'm like, oh, she did that song too. So I don't know why that's coming through, but maybe somebody keeps on surprising you. Maybe somebody, you know, there's a lot more depth perhaps to somebody than you realize. Like they, you know, every time you find out something more about them, it's like, I'm even more impressed with that person right now. So it could be something like that. Well, what was I talking about now? I completely got sidetracked there. So it could be, you know, you've had a similar background, similar experiences as somebody else. You've got a lot in common. You know, there's a lot there to bond you. What's that? Trauma bonding. They're telling me trauma bonding. But that can be very unhealthy and very codependent, especially if you have the same addictions or coping mechanisms. You know, you could actually enable that in each other. So there could be something about not being able to come together at a certain time because you're both stuck in unhealthy patterns of behavior based on past experiences. So it could be that you've both had to separate and go away and do healing separately, and this kind of shadow work separately. If you don't know what shadow work is, it's Carl Jung. Excuse me a second. It was my son, my little Pisces baby, wanting a cuddle. And of course he got one, and I got a piece of chocolate off him, so I'm very happy. A little bit begrudging. He was like, oh, okay. Oh, I hate loving you and giving you my chocolate. But I got some. Now I'm choking on it. So, yeah, breaking. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Just give me a sec. I'm getting smoking as well for someone. I think just because of like the tar-like substance on this woman here. Some of you could be breaking, breaking an addiction like smoking. I'm just going to drink some water. Again, I swear water's like a big deal in your reading. You've been told in the past, drink more water, Pisces. You're a fish baby, drink more water. It's good for you. So cleansing, it could be a spiritual cleanse, it could be a physical cleanse, it could be ridding yourself of some addiction, or just emotional gunk, right? Like shadow gunk, emotional gunk. It could be a painful process, sometimes breaking an addiction. Especially a physical addiction like smoking, can actually be a really painful process because your body has to readjust. Your body's been dependent on that substance. And again, it doesn't have to be a substance. It can be you've been emotionally dependent on something, and that's painful too. Breaking something where you've had an emotional codependency. And basically, addictions tend to have an emotional root. So I really feel like you and someone else have turned your back on each other, gone back to do some shadow work, and maybe you're going to come together when the time's right. Okay, so funnily enough, again with this patterning, again, maybe you're mirroring someone. The underline of this deck, which I used here, was the Ace of Pentacles. This came out at the end of, I want to say it was Capricorn, but it could have been Aquarius as well. So you have the Ace of Pentacles in the underlying, and it's here as well. The Ace of Earth is the Ace of Pentacles. So I pulled this deck, went to this deck, went back to this deck, and it came out and confirmed itself. So Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles. Now this can be some sort of offer, some kind of opportunity, a new skill, an opportunity to develop a new skill, something like this. But it's normally something that's very practical, very earthy, very grounded, very real. It's not something that's airy-fairy in any sort of way. There could be some kind of contract coming towards you as well, with the King of Air being here as well. Something legal, perhaps. But it's some sort of new opportunity coming in. Oh, I was saying about this dancing, wasn't I? This feeling of like dancing together. Your song, when I randomized a song for you on Spotify, was Once Upon a Dream, the Lana Del Rey version from the film Maleficent. And it's got this beautiful kind of otherworldly, haunted quality to it, which is very much similar to the feeling that I was picking up on when I was tuning into your energy. And I had this kind of like feeling like I was in your emotional waters, right? I was in your dream space. It had that kind of quality, like, if you imagine being underwater and the light filtering through, when the light kind of makes those kind of glistening rays in the water, it had that kind of magical quality to it. So that I wasn't surprised that song should come through for you. Again, I'm looking, I've got this really old mirror next to me. It's like a vintage piece of furniture mirror, where it gets all speckled at the back. And it's got like a beveled edge. And the edge is kind of like distorting the reflection, and it's breaking it into all these kind of like rainbow colors. So, but it's got that quality to it as well, this kind of like gauzy refraction of the light quality to it. So it does seem to me to be like dream space. But of course, that song is I Know You, I Walked With You Once Upon a Dream. That gleam in your eyes is so familiar to me. So maybe you have met somebody in your dream space. Maybe you have met somebody in the astral realm, in the 5D, or you've just been finding yourself dreaming about a person a lot. It's what I would say is, again, I've had some very interesting, very vivid, very like the kind of dreams where you think, why am I dreaming that? That was an odd adventure I went on. But there could be something where you could be dreaming symbolically about a person. So perhaps if you know someone and they're an Aquarius, they could be coming to you as a king of air, or perhaps they remind you of somebody from TV. You could be dreaming about them. You could be dreaming about that TV person. It's like you could be dreaming about somebody, but instead of it being like the image that you know them as, it's a symbolic person. There could be something like that going on for you. Like this person is in your dreams, but they're masked in your dreams. But it's them because like the symbology tells you it's them. Something like that. A little bit like, because it's got this kind of like, I know you, I did the Swan Lake with you once upon a dream kind of thing to it. Again, they're kind of like wearing masks and stuff. It's like they're in costume. It's like this person's coming to you in your dreams in costume. Look at these two images, right? Kind of always gives me like the masquerade ball from the Labyrinth. It's like, yeah, okay, the Goblin King's wearing a mask, but we all know it's David Bowie, right? There's no mistaking that's David Bowie, even if he has got a goblin mask on. So like I would know that trouser bulge anywhere. It's like that kind of energy. So yeah, this could be something like that going on for you as well. I want to say that I'm tempted to say that this is you, but you can switch it and reverse it, because this seems to be, it's like this person appearing in front of you, or like meeting this person face on. Again, it could be the feeling of like somebody that you knew from childhood or something, like somebody that you knew from the past, kind of soulmate energy. Like I feel like you're destined to be in my life, even though perhaps at the moment it's not healthy for us to be in each other's lives, but it's like you keep thinking about them, they keep showing up, you keep meeting them in unexpected places. It's that kind of energy. It's maybe 7 years have passed and then you meet this person head on. It's like all of a sudden, they're right there in front of you, the crowd parts and they're there. It's got that kind of energy to it. There's definitely something going on as well with these swans and the white feathers. It's like you could be seeing signs and symbols of this person. You see, come on, focus. You see here like the white feathers on this swan who's flying off. Again, it always seems to me like the tar has to come away. It's like, when there's an oil spill and the birds get covered in oil and they have to be washed clean. It's like and then after a period of time, once you've kind of cleansed yourself of the black gunk, they're able to fly again. So again, it's like this person, you could be meeting them and it's like, oh yeah, I'm part of this 12-step program now. I'm in recovery. When you met me, I wasn't in a good place. I'm in a different place now. I'm holding down a job. It could be all this kind of stuff. And like all of a sudden, this person's a king of air. So they could have some responsibility. They could have some authority. They could have they could actually have quite a good reputation, some kind of standing in the community. But I want to say there's something about like, it's like, what's behind the mask. You know the old them, something like that. But again, it's coming through now with this white swan. So you go from the black swans here to the white swan. So I want to say at least one of you, and I want to say it's you, Pisces, is being successful here in cleansing that gunk, that emotional gunk, that psychic gunk, the addictions, the whatever that shadow side represents to yourself. It's like you do the work and you come out and you kind of clean your reputation up, something like this. But I want to say, whatever it is, it's been a long, difficult battle for you, because you've got this time passing energy, like this long journey energy, and the nine of fire. There's the king of earth as well. I really like the king of earth. Really, really grounded. He's been here so long that like fungus and stuff is starting to grow all over him. You see here on his like antler, like mushrooms and stuff are growing over him. He's been here that long. I quite like the kings in this deck. They're all kind of like granddads. So yeah, like a long journey. It's been difficult for this person. It's been a long process. This is the wounded warrior. So it's like life keeps knocking you down, but you've built up that resilience. You pick yourself up again. You get yourself back on your feet, holding on to your hopes and dreams, doing that. And then it's like, again, it's like this kind of feels like the same energy. It's like all of a sudden this person reappears in your life with this kind of almost authoritative energy, and maybe they have something to give you, something to offer you. It could be advice as well. The Ace of Earth, it's practical, but advice is also practical, right? Especially if it comes from a King of Air and a King of Earth. I mean, this person's really grounded, really practical, really logical, very, very strategic. Like, if this person's giving you advice, it's probably really good practical advice, I want to say. But there could be some kind of conflict with this person, especially in the past. This Seven of Air kind of deception. But again, it's one of the healthiest representations of the Seven of Air with these kind of white birds. It's kind of like coming out of deception, or seeing something clearly, something like this. But this Five of Fire as well, it's like this can be conflict, competition, having to fight for something, having to stand up for yourself. The way it's coming through here, and again, it's like maybe this is some kind of person in authority or a father figure, somebody who perhaps has power over you in some sort of way. Again, labyrinth coming through. You have no power over me. It's got that energy to it. It's like it's kind of giving me like teacher and student lesson. Like, this is the teacher, this is the person in charge of the classroom, and then this is like the good little student trying to sit there with the little arms crossed, you know, trying to pay attention, trying to look studious, trying to look like she's behaving herself, right? It's got that kind of, I don't want to displease this person. I'm eager to please this person. Look to it. I want to learn from this person. This person has lots, you know, very intelligent, with it being the King of Air, very intelligent, very knowledgeable. I'm the good little student. I don't know why it's giving me that, but it kind of is. So whether that's your situation or not, I don't know. But again, it's kind of like almost like this is one character. Like, you knew them from the past, but time has passed and they're now this character. The kings are normally really good, especially if they're in the upright. And then, you know, you were this character, but you're now this character, right? You've cleansed yourself of something. Whatever it is, and again, this could be somebody who's a guardian for you, or you are now in the role of the guardian. So take it as it resonates, but there's something about, it could be both of you, because there's two trees here, but it's like, oh, sorry, blurry again. So there's something about learning from experience. I mean, even this deer, which deer tend to be emperor energy for me. You know, you become the emperor or the empress after you've been the wounded warrior, because you've learned a lot of lessons, you've fought a lot of battles, you've kind of like fought your way to the top of that hill, whether that's you know, whatever that represents for you. But it's like he's a little bit battle worn. He's, you know, his antlers are a little bit broke, so it's feeling a little bit battle worn after something. And again, maybe perhaps having to do this over and over again. This could be the process, and then, you know, coming out of some kind of phase of self-development or self-reflection, or some kind of phase of learning something, incorporating the lessons, and then kind of having to have that rest period again, having to go back into, oh, I've got to recover from this. I've got to get into that Four of Swords energy of like nurturing myself, kind of going within, processing, and then kind of getting back up on the horse and kind of continuing on with my journey until I get another set of lessons and have to incorporate again. But again, there's definitely something, again, with like the pink and blue. I don't know. So, okay. So I was getting a side message, but if it comes back up, I'll mention it, because it's not one that I'm entirely comfortable with. So yeah, it's like whatever this process is that you've been going through, where I want to say that your core has been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like with those cycles, with those lessons, like you're getting stronger within, you know, your spirit within is getting more resilient, more stronger. And then what happens is you kind of become this pillar of strength for other people. Again, it could be like a case of like going through some kind of program and learning all the lessons, incorporating the lessons, and then being able to guide other people through the lessons with this kind of like student teacher energy. It's like the master becomes the student, or the student becomes the master, if I get it the right way around. And you know what, a good master, a good teacher should always be learning, and they should also be learning. It should be a two-way street, right? A good teacher should always be learning from students. So it's like whether the kids are have out of the box thinking, and the teacher says, never thought about it that way before, I'll look into that. Or whether it's I want to, and I mean, I was a teaching assistant and I was working closely with a lot of teachers, some of them who were very, very experienced, who've spent their whole lives teaching, and they were still wanting to learn. They were still wanting to update themselves with like teachers magazines, or the latest practices, the latest innovations in teaching. They were wanting to go to conferences, they were wanting to take courses. They were, I think a good teacher is always a student, like they are a lifelong student. So it's like, are the kids responding to what I'm teaching? Do I have to change my teaching style to to teach better? So it's this very open, two-way energy that I think you should have as someone who's in some kind of either even just being a parent, or a student of life, whatever it is. We should be continually learning. I think when we shut down and say, I know everything, that's when you become a terrible teacher. So it's like being this pillar of strength, perhaps a pillar of strength in the community, perhaps, being the pillar of strength in your family, or it could be somebody around you who is this for you. But it's like, this feeling of like being home, or being somewhere that's solid and secure and safe and protective and just really strong, right? The backbone of your group, whatever that is for you. So it really feels like a warm home, right? This big oak tree. Oak trees also symbolize like family trees as well, and like lineage, DNA, things like this. A strong family, like, maybe there's something in your family that like is particularly strong. Like an example would be like my granddad, on my mum's side, had really thick, like glorious white hair, right, like right up into his 70s. So it's like he had good hair genes. It's like there's some kind of like genetic strength that you have, perhaps, not necessarily, but it's coming through. So I'm going to tell you, like, the family tree is DNA, right? Spirit guardian of spring. I don't like that, could get really shady. I'm just gonna, do you know what, if there's an elephant in the room, I'm gonna call it out. So talking about like DNA and like lineage can definitely get you into some shady areas that we don't want to go into. So but if it's something that's healthy, like my granddad had good hair, then I think that's okay. Spirit guardian string. So yeah, it's like all these children playing around you. It's like having the family around you, being the safe space, having completed this process of learning where you've done the shadow work, so really, really nice. And then what time are we on? Why are these readings always so long? So then it's going to, I'm seeing this very much as the same person. What's interesting is, now again, this was the second time I dealt this deck, and these 3 cards came out, and then I went to this deck, and when I picked up the deck, the underlying card was this card, and I was like, that feels like the same energy. There's something about these 2 cards where it's like she's got her hands clasped. Maybe somebody sits maybe somebody does sit like this, they sit there with the hands clasped, whether it's at the front or the back. It's very dainty, it's very ladylike, definitely has like Mary Poppins energy to it. But it's like, again, it's like this, the student becomes the teacher. It has this kind of Mary Poppins like, or what's the name out of Matilda? Miss Green is a name, Miss Green energy to it. Where it's like, you remember what it was like to be a student, and you remember your own needs in that situation. It doesn't have to be a student, but it could be a child, something from childhood. You remember, and it's like, it just comes through as like very calm, very understanding, very patient, with these new children who are around you, now that you're the one that's a little bit older and a little bit more experienced. Something coming through kind of reminds me a bit of that Billie Eilish video, where she's kind of, what is it? I'm hearing a song, but it's not the music video. I'm seeing the music video and I'm hearing a different song. I'm hearing, you couldn't save me, but you can't let me go. But I'm seeing the music video where she's an angel and she comes to earth and she lands in a tar pit. And she's, I don't know. There's something about, oh no, Maleficent. Oh yeah, there we go. I got it. Once Upon a Dream, Lana Del Rey, Maleficent. She actually, her wings get removed, right? Does she remove her own wings or does someone remove them for her? There's something about removing your wings. Again, maybe you do see yourself as a starseed, right? Your wings have been removed. Your wings have been clipped. Something about that. I don't know enough about that, but I was just getting it through, so I'm going to say what I was getting. It makes perfect sense now. I can't believe it took me so long to get it. Your wings have been clipped. So what does that mean? Cancer. I don't know if you're connecting with the Cancer. There was something about Cancer coming in and burning up the fairies. So there could be something in that reading for you, if that resonates at all. But then it's like, even though perhaps you've suffered some kind of horrible situation where you feel like your wings have been clipped, like your childhood has been robbed for you, or something like this. It's like wanting to break that cycle. So even though you haven't got your wings, it's like you remember, you're keeping that playfulness alive. Because like typically for me, elves, I mean, I think they do have wings in this picture, but typically for me, elves don't have wings and fairies do. So it's like remembering, even though we're elves now, even though we're not fairies anymore, whatever that means symbolically for you, is like we remember how to be playful. Even though we've been hurt, even though we've been bruised, even though we're a bit battle worn, we still remember what it's like to play in that kind of fairy energy. So there's something going on like that for you, and wanting to keep that alive perhaps in your own children, and the generations to come, wanting to keep that kind of playful like energy alive. You could be connecting with a Cappy as well. Cappy has something about not wanting to see children crying in their reading. So then you have up here again a lot of ancestral stuff coming through with the tree, with what's going on over here, breaking ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Again, Capricorn had this, they get it all the time. The symbology of Aeneas fleeing Troy with his father on his back and his son by his hand. It's a very, very famous motif. It's a statue that's been mimicked, and the symbology of it is carrying his father on his back is like carrying your ancestry, carrying your history, carrying your past, the customs, the traditions, the values that have been handed down to you, but then you're the filter in the middle. So you lead the children by the hand. You lead the children by the hand because they're the new generation. So you have an opportunity in that position to break ancestral patterns, to change the dialogue, to change the script, to flip the script. They're telling me, flip the script. So you get to be the filter to say, these are healthy traditions and customs and values that I wish my children to emulate, and these perhaps are toxic or not healthy, and I'm going to leave those behind and replace them with something that I think is more suitable for my children's future. So it could be talking about, because again, we exist in generations where one thing that worked for one generation can often not work for a new generation. For example, within the last 100 years, it was illegal to be gay. In England, you'd be arrested, you'd be in prison, and now it's legal. And not only is it legal, but, children are encouraged in schools to be understanding that people have different sexual orientations or different gender identities and things like this. So if you went into a school with the attitude of perhaps your grandparents, that's not going to go down well. The opinions have shifted, the values have changed, and this is where the parent or the generation above comes in really importantly with that filter energy, where you're filtering through what is beneficial to pass on and what needs to be left in the past. So rewriting the future, and you do. So there's something really beautiful here as well with I'll show you this card as well. Just again with this like grandmother protection energy. Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. You don't have to be religious, take it as it applies, leave it if it doesn't. But seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. It could be talking about your own grandmother, right? And then there's something as well about this guardian, she's this feminine energy with all these children around her. Again, it's like, I want to say that this is you as the filter with like a younger generation around you. Could be your own brothers and sisters, right? Siblings. It could just be you being whatever age you're at and thinking about the future generations to come, even if you don't have children around you at this time. But then it's like, this is your ancestor, this is the matriarchal line who is spreading her cloak over you all to, because can you see like you're wearing purple? Again, you don't have to be female, you know, you don't have to be like, I'm not a woman. It's just talking about, just take gender out of the equation perhaps, but it is talking about like the yin energy or the feminine energy within us all, the matriarchal line. So it's like she's spreading this cloak over everybody, and guiding them and protecting them as they make their own way through life, and, you know, protect the future generations to come. So it's a really nice message. And there is something about being playful, or remembering how to be playful, or making the lessons playful for the children. You know, children learn better when they're secure and when they're happy and they feel safe. If a child feels threatened or bullied, or you know, like they're not good enough, they're going to lock down a little bit. They're going to be more resistant to learning. So keeping the energy light and playful is much more, you know, if you want to go in like the King of Air, the strategic way to teach children lessons is to do it in a playful, engaging way, rather than in a kind of like Victorian strict way, because it's more engaging. They're going to respond better to it. They're going to learn better from that. So you end with this star seed. What lights you up? What lights you up? So there's an opportunity, I want to say, to dream your future into being. And this for me is one of the key superpowers of Pisces. You know, the vivid imagination, or the inner dream world, or the ability to fantasize. Pisces, you are this energy of like fantasy, however that comes through for you. Some people it's like sci-fi movies, sometimes it's superhero movies, sometimes it's like princess movies like Once Upon a Dream. So however it comes through for you, the ability to engage with fantasy, or to have some kind of like ability to dream and fantasize, it's your superpower, Pisces. And the reason why it's your superpower is you cannot change the future if you cannot envision the future. So if you only know your reality, you cannot dream a better future into being. You have to have the vision before you can like bring it into practice. I want to say that if you can dream it, you can have it. So you will not break the patterns, you will not end those cycles if you can't see a better way to be. So a brilliant way of explaining this is, again, if you talk about generational patterns of behavior, people who are born into poverty tend to stay in poverty, and you know, their children will be in poverty, because it is a cycle, because you only know how to behave based on the examples that you're given. And this is why things like Disney movies or fantasy movies and TV and books like Matilda are so important, because it shows people that there's another way to be, there's other ways to behave, there's other ways to respond to situations. So for example, my favorite superhero is Batman, and again, I'm not going to do spoilers, but looking at the way Batman behaves through much of the representations of him in the past, often he doesn't necessarily respond. He has a lot of self-control, and you know, some people are very prone to anger, they're quick to outbursts, but he has that self-control. Usually, you know, sometimes for a storytelling device they'll have him break that self-control and he'll lose control, but normally he's a really good example. He's a superhero, right? He's an anti-hero, but he has really brilliant core values, like I don't want to use guns, you know? So it's like having these role models, these superheroes, these role models or examples of how to behave and how not to behave. Now they're telling me Plato, because Plato and Socrates kind of had these discussions. Socrates, was it? May have been, may not have been. I get too mixed up. But, you know, should we be teaching children these stories of gods if the gods are setting bad examples, you know, that kind of thing? And I want to say yes, because the more examples you have to pick and choose from, the more opportunities you have to decide your own path through life. What are your core values? How do you want to behave? Do you want to be like Batman? Do you want to be like Superman? Do you want to be like, I don't know, Elsa? It's aspirational, and giving children or future generations examples of like how to behave or how not to behave. Like, who do you want to be? What character do you want to be in your future? So never devalue your ability to dream and fantasize, because it's actually key to changing our map of the future. It's very important. Okay. There we go. So let's get your wings back. What do the fairies want to say to you? No, I'm hearing. You're going a bit higher than the fairies. You're going angels among us. No. Okay. Okay, let's get an angel among us. You are an angel among us, right? You may have had your wings clipped. You may be a human right now, but I swear, if anyone was an angel or a starseed, it's my Pisces babies. Right, okay, what do we have, please, for Pisces? What do we have, please, for Pisces for Saturday? Pisces for Saturday. You have, on the underlying, St. Francis. So don't worry, they're a little bit, this deck draws on different religions. It's not just one religion, it's like lots of different ones. So you've got Ganesh in there, Merlin, you know, a lot of fantasy type figures, Gaia. So it's deities. It should be called Deities Among Us. So if you want to take this as a non-religious metaphor for certain principles or values, like, take it that way. If you do connect with a certain religion or spiritual upbringing that really resonates for you, and these characters mean something for you, just take it as it resonates. So it's either real to you or it's a role model, like however that represents. Okay, St. Francis, animal communication, active vision and service. Very, very Virgo for me. Archangel Uriel, I love them. I love the artwork on these. They're so cool. Archangel Uriel, illumination. I'm sorry if I say any of the names wrong as well. Illumination, lunar power, and lunar power. Tell you what, you've just had the new moon in your sign, new moon in Pisces. So yes, ideas into form. What did I say? Look, you can't make this up. I was just saying this. Ideas into form. Dream it. You know, it does look very, if you dream it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Archangel Metatron, spiritual power. Gosh, so Pisces. Esoteric wisdom. Very Scorpio as well. Sacred geometry. Okay. So what do they have to teach us? Number 4. Archangel Uriel's name means fire or light of God, and he's the angel that can help you turn your ideas into your reality. No way. Literally what I was just saying. Archangel Uriel can help activate and open up the crown chakra so you can receive divine wisdom with even more clarity and ease. He also helps to activate the solar plexus so you can take that wisdom and use it to make positive changes in your own life and the world around you. Positive changes in your own life and the world around you. Break the chain, right? Exactly. Archangel Uriel is a powerful angel to work with for those who identify as light workers. It's time to take action on the divine guidance you have been receiving. Okay, embody the light of Archangel Uriel by being open to divine guidance, shining your light, standing in your power, which I see as this tree energy, stepping into leadership, taking action, and making your dreams come true one step at a time. 7 of Pentacles, one step at a time. It's like the stepping stone of the tarot. 16. Archangel Metatron. Archangel Metatron, he always sounds to me like Metatron. I always think he's like a transformer, like Archangel Metatron, angels in disguise. Archangel Metatron is the voice of God and the angel of esoteric wisdom. He can help you activate spiritual knowledge and power through spiritual teachings, books, practices, downloads of higher wisdom, light codes, and sacred geometry. I definitely feel like you're getting information in your dreams. Like, pay attention to your dreams. Maybe keep a dream journal, especially if you're dreaming of a certain person or a certain situation or motif. Kind of keep an eye on that. Archangel Metatron works with both the Earth Star and the Soul Star chakras, anchoring your pillar of light into the earth beneath you and into source energy above. That's literally like, just to kind of break there for a second. When I'm meditating, I imagine a little orb of light like this inside me, and then it grows and it gets bigger and it turns into a string of light, and then eventually it like branches out of my crown chakra up into the sky, and then has like roots that go down into the earth, like energetic. To me, like bright light energy, like a tree made out of light, going up to the stars and like down into the earth. It's just what I do every time I meditate. So apparently it's a real thing as well. Like I don't know where I got it from, but it's maybe like from drama class in the 90s. Like imagine you're a tree, but it's just what I've always done. And then it's turns out it's an actual thing that people do in like Buddhism or something. I don't know. So anchor your pillar of light into the earth beneath you and into source energy above so that you can live in alignment with love and wisdom. Archangel Metatron also supports children, see? Especially those who are on the autism spectrum, have ADHD or other issues that make growing up especially difficult. Like sometimes the children with, because I was a teaching assistant, sometimes the children who have different learning needs or different disabilities. I don't like disability because it's like I don't like the term disabled. Some people like it because it's like to them it's like well, I am disabled, you know, I can't do the things that other people can do. But often what happens is when you're not able to do something or when there's a difficulty in something, a lot of the time, again, if you imagine like branches of a tree, if one branch is stunted, the energy goes into a different branch. So a lot of the time you find, you know, that these children can have very, very special talents, or there's something very unique about them because their growth has not been able to grow in a certain direction. It often grows in a different direction and branches a little bit further than the other children. Does that make sense? So I prefer differently abled. It's just, that's personal to me. That's my personal feeling about it. And I don't want to I don't own labels. Whatever label people want to use for themselves, like absolutely, that is everybody's own personal choice. But my experience is that everybody has unique gifts, and you know, it's like I'm terrible at running. I run like a chicken. You know, I am not very. I think I have dyspraxia, but I went to the doctor and there's no way for me as an adult on the NHS to be diagnosed with it. But I have a very, very vivid imagination. I'm very creative. You don't have to be brilliant at everything. You know, you don't have to. Whoever told you you had to be perfect at everything was lying, and there is no way they were perfect at everything, right? Because nobody is. So, you know, some people are all rounders, but maybe they're not experts at everything they do. And what am I trying to say? So I always find, you know, children are very unique, and I think I've talked about this before in your readings. Maybe in Capricorn's reading they get a lot of legacy stuff as well. I think a lot of the time you know, state systems, state schools, or just the education system in general is often because resources, and it's nobody's fault exactly, but it's like because you know, you have to run things efficiently. You know, there are resources, there's money, you know, you do trying to kind of there's limits to how much you can adapt for each individual child. So a lot of the lessons tend to be, you know, all rounders, and it's not always it doesn't always suit each individual child, and it's not probable that it will do. And some schools and some teachers are brilliant at adapting lesson plans for different needs, but you know, even that has its own limits. So there's something about it's incredibly hurtful for me personally to see children who are, and this can be like children who are technically perfectly abled, you know, children who don't have any kind of identified disability or anything like this, but children who you know, I hate the word normal, right? And I'm going to use it in quotations. Children who are normal, you know, even they have strengths and weaknesses. And you can see a child who is struggling with something. Maybe they're, you know, maybe they struggle to grasp maths, or maybe they struggle to, you know, not the most coordinated, or, you know, it can just be, you know, they were short, so they're not the best at doing something where you have to be tall. You know, it can be a number of different things, and a lot of the time children often focus on the things that they can't do rather than the things that they're brilliant at. And I just wish sometimes parents and teachers focused on what the children are brilliant at, rather than this kind of benchmark attitude of, oh, they're a bit behind on this, so we're going to really focus on this because they're behind on it, and we're going to try and get them to the benchmark. It's like, well, why are you focusing on the thing that they're not good at, when, you know, if you focused on the thing that they're brilliant at. They could be like, some kind of like pioneer in the future. So this benchmark energy of like, let's get everybody up to scratch is not necessarily the healthiest for children, because it's almost like criticizing them or overly focusing on their negative qualities rather than the things that they're really good at, or the things that make them really unique, and the things that make them feel clever. And I don't know, there's something about that going on. So I'm going to leave it there because I'm just waffling on now, but maybe that's food for thought for somebody, or maybe you just sat there nodding and going, I agree, yes, exactly, that's what I've been thinking myself. Maybe you are in a unique position. Maybe somebody in this reading is in a unique position where they're like, oh, I work for the school education board, maybe I can do something here. Like, maybe you can, I don't know, go forth and change the world, Pisces, because if anyone could dream a new world into being, it's my Pisces fish babies. All right, so do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.